Call the meeting in order. Please rise for salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the board secretary has caused notice of this meeting, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library, the board office, filed with the township clerk, and communicated to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger. Mr. Pulaski, roll call, please.
Mr. Roger Krishna. Present. Mr. Ray Keener.
Present.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta.
Here.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Present.
Dr. Stephen Parker.
Here.
Dr. Smith Raj.
Here.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti.
Here.
Mr. Barry Nathanson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Can I get approval of tonight's agenda with the...
Motion to amend the agenda to remove the second executive session.
Thank you, Dr. Parker.
You need a
All
second.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All in favor of approval of the agenda, please.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Move to our first executive, or our only executive session tonight. Be it resolved that Board of Education of the Township of South Brunswick hereby moves into executive session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21 to discuss personnel. Be it further resolved that discussion conducted in executive session be disclosed to the public at such time as the matter has been resolved. Formal action may be taken at any meeting. So we're going to go into executive session. We will be back at 7 o'clock for the public's knowledge. Thank you. Welcome, South Brunswick. We're back in session. Can I get a motion to come back from executive session to move by Mrs. Meadow? I have a second. Second by Mr. Mitchell. All in favor? Any? No. Okay. Approval of tonight's minutes. Board minutes of June 10th, 2021. Get a motion. Moved by Mr. Mitchell. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Roger. All in favor? Any opposed? Moving along to report of superintendent. Mr. Feder, how are you, sir?
All right. Hello, everybody. Happy summer. Okay, so we're in July, and I'm in this T-shirt. We had an administrative retreat today, and chose to just stay in the same T-shirt. Great 2 days. I want to thank Jen, Dr. Diz, for putting together a great 2 days for admin. Some really good thinking and planning about the coming year. Obviously, there's a lot to consider when thinking about next year. We didn't wait for this retreat to talk about how we're going to support students. We've been working on that for months, but it was good to get together with everybody. And a little bit of laughter, a little bit of play, a little bit of work. Actually, a lot of work, a little bit of play, a little bit of laughter. But really, really well-structured 2 days. And I think our team got a nice energized and refreshed. So again, Doc, thanks, good job. And let's move on. So one important message about calendar. On your agenda tonight, board members, you have a recommendation to approve a revision to our 21-22 school calendar. As you are aware, federal government has identified Juneteenth as a federal holiday. In consideration of that holiday, we are looking to adjust the school calendar for next year. We want to do that now so everyone has time to plan. We would be observing on the calendar June 17th as to celebrate that holiday, and that would be a day closed for school. Now, normally we put in 2 snow days in the past. Normally, though, we do put 3 days in. This year, we're going to go with 2 snow days. The calendar, the recommendation is to go with 2 snow days, make June 17th a closed day, which would remove the Tuesday after Memorial Day as a snow day potential. So this calendar now has 2 potential snow days in it. Another reason to look at it this way, we still don't know what will happen with the availability of using virtual days for snow days in the future. As of this minute, we're being told that is not an option. But as we continue to follow the path of what's going on with COVID and other things that may come out of this, that could change. So we feel it's a good year to do this, see how it works out this year, and go forward. We have run this past the SBEA and the SBAA, which is part of our calendar process. Both presidents of those unions agree with this maneuver, and so we are confident in recommending that this is a supported idea and one that is worth going forward with for next year. So that is, again, on the agenda for this evening. As I say pretty much every meeting now, but have been saying for months, you never know what to expect when it comes to September. And I think the last time I spoke about masks, and I said, I don't want to make a decision about masks today because I have no idea what's going to come from the government, from the DOE, from the governor, from the Department of Health. What you do know since our last meeting, though, is we've heard from two agencies in regard to mask wearing, specifically in schools with unvaccinated students, which is all students under 12 years old. The recommendations from the American Pediatrics as well as the CDC is that pretty much all people in school should be masked when it comes to school in September. We don't know how that's going to play out at this point. So as of right now, there still is no guaranteed answer to the mask question for September. What I will say is the main concern we continue to have about masks, no masks, is not really about the mask. It's about social distancing when masks are not being worn. That is, for example, lunchtime. What is going to be the mandate from the government on that issue? So as of right now, the road forward that was submitted in June from the Department of Education in consultation with the governor's office and the Department of Health uses the term practicable. And for people that don't know the term practicable, its synonym is feasibility. And what the road forward talks about is do this when practicable. In other words, when practicable, meaning you still have to have all students in school every day, full day, no virtual learning. So, if you think about that and you play that out, if they come back and someone says what is practicable, what is necessary is 6 feet apart when no mask can be worn, that's going to be still the same problem I've talked about for about a year, which is we cannot fit all the kids in for lunch that way. So right now, all of our schools are coming up with alternate plans for how we would have full day school with social distancing in the lunchrooms. It has a definite impact on our educational model in some schools. So that means we get to use the word practicable. In my use of the term, it is not practicable to impact student learning. So if the board agrees with that terminology, I'm not asking if anyone agreed to anything right now, and that even could change in a month. But as of right now, we need to have school be school. Another year of not school is not something I want to recommend to this Board of Education. So the term practicable is going to have to be applied at some point, depending on the level of impact something like lunch has. If we're able to do everything by adding one lunch, not so impactful. But if we have to start impacting and having lunch start at 9:30 in the morning to meet the needs of certain social distancing mandates, that could be a problem for us. So I stick with where I was last month, which is we're not prepared at this point to give people a speculation, but you can look at the facts. The facts are the CDC and the American Pediatrics have made it very clear that their opinion and recommendation is masked. What we do not know is what that will mean when it comes to September for when you can't be masked, such as lunchtime. What the governor has been clear about so far, what the road forward is clear about, is virtual learning at this moment in time is not an option outside of certain circumstances that are basically health-related circumstances. So, going forward, we're going to continue to watch. We're going to continue to work out modifications and plans. And when we get a little bit further on, we'll be able to share some more. But I do not want to cause what we did last year, which is this constant changing and changing and changing. So at this time, we're building models, and we're preparing for full regular day school for all students every day, normal hours, and make modifications based upon social distancing requirements when masks are not to be worn. Whether masks are worn during the school day or not has no impact on our planning for operation of school. I would argue, however, that masking little kids, big kids, teachers all day, every day when your all school is present will have an impact on learning. I absolutely believe that masking everybody will have an impact on learning. However, an impact on learning you have to measure with the risk. So everything's a balance, and the word practicable is going to be a dominant term as we continue forward. So again, as of today, I'm not sharing with you a definitive plan other than no virtual learning, school all day for every kid, 5 days a week, full day. That's what we know so far. And if you're a betting person, choose what side you want to bet on, but it's very possible things do change from the governor, from the DOE, from the DOH, based upon whatever they feel is best and safest related to, I guess, the Delta variant, which is the current circumstance that we keep hearing about. And that's where we are. I'm willing, if the board has interest in any questions right now, I'll stop for a minute and see if you do have any questions that I can help you with.
Mr. President, you just said just now, right, that masks will have an impact on learning. So why do you-
George, excuse me, is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, okay. 'Cause it can't-
So why do you believe that?
If you are a little, let's go with little kids, seeing expression, people communicate with facial expression, body, facial. When you lose the ability to kind of gauge your class with facial expression, that's a loss of a teacher's ability to modify how they're approaching their lessons. So currently, teachers use everything at their disposal to make decisions on modifying and moving one way or another. So I call it gauging. And when you lose the ability to use facial expression, that hurts. Also, when you lose the ability of students to see their teacher and their expressions, that could hurt. So having to have extra mask breaks or dealing with the issues of masks could have an impact on behavioral issues when you're remember, we only dealt with a very, very small number of kids present last year. Now you're talking about 100% in schools. It's a very different game. So we do believe there would be an impact. What I also said when I said that, remember, was you have to measure the potential of the impact versus the safety. While social distancing at lunch could cause massive impact to scheduling and the ability to when a child would eat and when they would, how long they'd have to go before eating again, that has a definite different impact. Mask, while having an impact, you'd have to weigh that versus, danger, risk. I don't know that we'd have a choice on mask anyway, to be honest with you. I don't think that would be one of the things, except for when it's not practicable. I don't think you could argue that mask wearing itself is so harmful that a district would say no mask. But I would bet you will have districts that will go against, if they have any ability to not wear masks, there will be districts in the state of New Jersey that will fight any mandate to wear masks next year.
Thank you. Mr. Feder, just a little follow-up on that, right? Just the practicable
issue of keeping the masks on the students, right, from pre-K to 5 as well, that might also complicate.
So, and what I said before is the behavioral issues associated with mask wearing. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Dr. Parker.
Yes, at some point, we have to make a definitive decision on this, because
Yes.
school's going to start. So how much lead time do you think you'll be able to give parents on a decision?
Different than last year, the lead time for parents involved whether a child was coming into the building or not.
Right.
This doesn't involve that.
No.
So right now, a parent should plan on a child being in school every day, full day, 5 days a week. What happens in the course of that day, I have more latitude than last year, which was, is school going to actually be open or not? Do you need childcare? So the questions are more about what happens when the child is in school rather than where the child will be.
Okay.
So I don't feel the pressure of last year with saying that your child may not be coming to school. The mask question itself, while people want that answer, isn't going to necessarily determine any change for us, except for how it appears with social distancing when masks can't be worn in the case of lunch. So the only thing a parent would need to know is what does the schedule modifications look like? Does that make any sense, Dr. Carter?
Yeah, well, they need to know, I mean, there's going to be some assumption that masks will be used. I mean, they do need to prepare to have masks for their children.
Right. So as of right now, what people should use, CDC, American Pediatrics, have said unvaccinated will be wearing masks.
Okay.
They've also said that even the vaccinated should be wearing masks in schools.
Right.
I can't say what the state of New Jersey is going to say in September. All I can say is that as of right now, that's what the latest recommendation from the agencies that the state has been listening to has said.
Okay.
And again, the only reason I'm not being more committal is I got burned, can't even count how many times I got burned last year with being committal with a government that refused to be committal day after day and changing it literally, sometimes hour by hour. We were lucky when it moved to week by week. So as of right now, because it doesn't change anything for what a parent has to decide, other than if they don't want their kid in school, that's on them. I feel I have to wait a little bit longer before getting too committal on certain things that don't affect where a child will be learning.
Okay.
Best I got now, Doc.
Fair enough.
Anyone else? Roger?
Is there a deadline that school administrations are going to come up with a plan or present us or let the parents know? Some kind of a deadline or date?
So public schools, whenever you want to come in, we take you. So as of right now, the registration, it's actually coming up on my list to talk about the registration.
No, I'm talking about the mask at lunchtime, the plan with that.
So again, all that would happen at this moment, unless there's a change in directive from the government, is we might have to modify our schedule. It wouldn't mean modifying it where a child doesn't come to school for the full day. So in other words, if school is normally 9 to 3, school will still be 9 to 3. What a parent's going to need to know is what does the day look like? And we have multiple versions of that right now. So until we get more information,
So we can't decide till that
I
time.
can't decide that yet, but what we can do is eliminate possibilities based upon practicable. Meaning if someone says, Scott, in order to be 6 feet apart, here's what the lunch schedule needs to look like, and here's how
Yeah,
much
that's
more
what I was
money
gonna- yeah.
we need to spend to staff it. That might be, well, it's going to cost us $400,000, and kids start eating lunch at 9:30 in the morning and don't stop until 2:30. I'm probably going to say to the board, I recommend that that's not practicable.
Yeah,
But if it's 3 feet apart, we're working on that right now to make it practicable, where we believe we could do enhanced cleaning in between lunches, as well as have some form of social distancing and still operate an effective school setting. So what worries me is if they come back and say 6 feet when masks are off, that's a major game changer for us. And I don't know that we'll be able to meet the requirements of full day, every kid, every day, and 6 feet apart when masks are off. We believe we can do it with 3 feet apart, with changes and modifications, but not bad enough that I would call them not practicable. That make sense?
Yes.
And that's the balance, right? What is practicable? Ultimately, we have to try and make that recommendation. So I use what my admin tell me, what they share with me. Our team here listens to that and says that for right now, for example, we're looking at, we might have to modify how we do paraprofessionals in the lunchroom to elongate their days as one way to modify, and the way we look at lunchtime might need to be looked at differently. In the elementary schools, for example, pre-COVID, lunch went, virtually no break in between for cleaning. So we want to now enhance that so we can do that and it still be practicable. It really becomes an issue when 3 feet goes higher than 3 feet in distancing. That's where we're going to have to make a decision of, are we going to do that? Or are we going to say that's not practicable, therefore we're not going to have 6 feet apart? And if the state gives us the ability to make that decision based upon practicableness, that's what we'd be recommending. It does not change, I want to be clear, it does not change what a school day start and end looks like for a child, unless the government make that they've been clear on so far. No virtual learning, full day, every day, all kids. So I have to then look at all of our plans to determine practicableness. I think I might be inventing new words here, Rob.
Practicality.
Practicality. Different term. Hope that helps. Anyone else?
And I think that the other thing that comes into play as well is going to be what the guidelines in transportation are going to be.
Same boat.
Because if they make us socially distance on the school buses, we're not going to have enough room. And that, in fact, is going to lead to a problem as far as getting the students in. In addition, there will be those parents that will decide they're going to drive their child to school. That's going to create a problem because some of our schools don't have the accessibility to have an increase of traffic going in and out of the building. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to take into consideration.
So again, to reiterate what Ray is saying, if we can't put 50 kids on a bus, there's no solution for going to half of our number of kids on a bus with all of our kids. There just isn't a solution for that. We won't have buses, we won't have drivers, and that would shut us all down. That would shut the whole state down if they force that. That will not be practicable. So they've also stated that masks on buses looks like are going to be mandatory right now, but that could change. So we have to go forward believing that all of our kids, our bus schedule will be exactly what it was pre-COVID, just masked. We don't have another way to do it. I don't think you do either, Ray, in North Brunswick. There is no way to get double the number of buses. There's no way.
Well, there's no way you're going to get double number of the buses.
Or drivers.
Or double number of the budget that's going to be required
money,
for it.
I mean, it's not practicable to alter transportation. So we're just going to go forward as if that's not going to be happening.
I actually have a question on that. With our buses,
Do they have, because I happened to see a bus today in New Brunswick, school bus, do we have plastic panels above the seats that are dividing?
No.
Okay, so that's just as an FYI. I happened to see it today, coming back from New Brunswick. There's actual plastic dividers that they have that are hanging from, I don't know how they're hanging. They're just dividing the back seat from the front seat of the child, So that's just something to maybe look into. If we have to use it, there is a means. I know that New Brunswick is using it, so.
You still have 3 kids sitting next to each other.
Right, that's different.
In between.
Right, correct.
2 over here.
Yeah, you might only be allowed to have 1 per seat. I don't know, but.
What keeps happening, and has happened for the last year and a half almost, is people are capitalizing
Yeah.
on products, if you think of what is that could possibly be protecting?
Right,
At this
I
point.
know.
And so we'd be spending, you could
Millions on
spend
that.
millions of
Yeah.
dollars. And then you have to get your contractors to install it, or we install, you're talking about such extenuating, again, if that would actually do the job.
Yeah.
But how is it, what about the 3 kids that live 3 different houses that have to sit next to each other on the bus?
Yep.
There's so many of these things.
Yeah.
You could buy them for the lunch tables.
Yeah.
You could buy them for this. I mean, you could do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But you also,
So a few things come into that as well.
who's
because
cleaning them?
That started at the beginning of COVID, and they came around with the plastic dividers behind the seats.
Yeah.
As well as dividers that go around the driver compartment.
Yeah.
Now, we in North Brunswick, we did put dividers around, only in our district buses, around the drivers back when this started. Putting the dividers in between each seat becomes a safety hazard. First of all, it's nothing more than a glorified shower curtain that's screwed into the roof of the
That's what it
vehicle.
is.
2, in addition to that, that was at the beginning of all of this COVID nightmare. Now you're looking at, you cannot get them because there is a shortage of vinyl throughout the entire country. So if you ordered them now, they could tell you, well, we'll get them to you maybe by January or February.
Yeah, valid. Yeah, it's just a whole mess.
Yep. Anyway, if we're good, I'm going to keep going on.
Thank you for such an uplifting conversation.
Yes, that's what I'm here for. Another thing we just sent out to our community is an outreach for staffing. So knowing that we do have, and for some positions, we have people that live in town that might not realize that we have openings that they would be qualified for or interested in doing, part-time stuff, working for our Chartwell's dining service, working for our before and after school program, working as substitutes, working as paraprofessionals in classrooms and lunchrooms. We're always needing drivers if people know people with CDLs. So we put out an all-call because if you go around to any small business or any business, you're looking, what do you see on every door? Hiring. Right now there's a labor shortage. We know there's no surprise. South Brunswick is not immune. We have many openings in certain key areas such as substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, and our Chartwell's is shorthanded right now. They're very concerned. And like you see in certain restaurants, you go to restaurants and there's wait times with empty tables, right? Because they don't have staff. The back rooms they just can't staff them. We are definitely at risk of having some staffing issues come September. And we just want our community to know that, and we want to do everything we can to outreach. So we're going to continue to talk about that and try and get people in the community who might have a few hours a day to come in, and if they were willing to be substitute teachers, that would be awesome, and we'll help get them set up. And we're no different than every business right now looking for staff for these certain positions. So again, we want to keep that going. We want to also let our community know that registration is alive and kicking, and they can contact our central registration. It's important for us to know how many kids we're dealing with when we staff. Kim and I monitor this and make sure that we are staffed so that come September, we don't have crazy high class sizes, or we make any moves we need to manage the changes. You know, this is a very unpredictable year this year. We don't know, we still believe there's going to be maybe shorter than normal because parents might still be choosing, they don't want their kids in person. That might be happening more often than we know, but we're staffed for a full boat right now, and we're going to keep watching and seeing what we need to do. So just please, if you know people that have kids who live in South Brunswick, please encourage them to get registered as quickly as we can. As far as that pretty much is my report.
I have a question.
Okay?
What are we looking at the incoming kindergarten class? What's the size? Do we have an idea right now?
Yeah, I can look at it 1 second.
I know it could change, but just wondering where we are.
There it is. Hold on a moment. Kindergarten, 1 second. Kim, you probably already got there already, I know. Our incoming kindergarten right now, a whopping, ready for this number, 288.
Oh, boy. Not good.
That's not good.
Yep. That's as of, looks to be 7/21.
And what's our, do we see the 700 number at the first grade level?
Let me see if that's the correct number, hold on a minute. Kim, are you seeing a different number by any chance?
I didn't mean to catch you off guard on that, sorry.
That's all right, I just want to make sure. I think it's a little higher than that, actually.
Yes, he did, Liz.
Hold on, I think I can get a more accurate number, 1 second. That might have been earlier. 383.
That's low.
That's good. We went up 100 and change.
But it's not, I'd have to get this from, we don't look at it day by day like that.
Right, I understand.
So I'd have to see exactly when they updated it.
But we're-
And more likely I'll have a more accurate number in August, the first week of August.
Right. Yeah, but that's still in half, so,
Not half. We've been under 500.
yeah.
But it's better. Last year was really low.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an improvement as far as getting our kids back. But, you know,
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Feder?
that's it for me. Thank you, Ms. Niven.
Thank you. Blair was supposed to do a report.
Yes, she's doing it via Zoom, so David will promote her to panelist.
Okay.
And I believe that way her presentation will go up on the screen.
So why David is doing that, we're doing a presentation of 2019-2020 school HIB grades required by the anti-bullying Bill of Rights, and our own Blair is coming on right now, hopefully, as David points to an empty screen.
Guys hear me?
There we go.
We just want to be able to see you too.
There she is.
All right.
Hello,
She's got
Blair.
her shirt on too.
Oh, she's got her T-shirt on.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good evening, member. Good? All right. Hi, everybody.
Is it a requirement, Blair, to sleep with it?
No.
Is it a requirement?
All right.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Blair Eisman, Director of Programs and Professional Development, and I'm also the district's anti-bullying coordinator. And like Mr. Nathanson said, I am here to share out our 2019-2020 school and district HIB grades. David, can you give me the ability to share my screen, please? While David's doing that, you might be wondering why 2019-2020, and this report is always a year behind. We submit the grades to the state in the summer at the end of a school year, and then the state reviews our grades the following year, sends them back to us with their approval, and that's when we're allowed to share them out. So we just received the grades from the state in June, and so I'm ready to share them with you tonight. So the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, what is this grade report? It's a requirement for the New Jersey Department of Ed to grade each public school and the school district's efforts to implement the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. So the Department of Ed provides our school district with an assessment to complete, and our school climate and safety teams at each building completes the assessment, and then, like I said before, submits it to the state. The assessment has 8 areas for grading, and these areas are on our HIB programs and approaches, the training we do with our staff on both HIB and suicide prevention, the way in which HIB lives in our curriculum and instruction. HIB personnel, which basically means that each school has an anti-bullying specialist and they work with me as the anti-bullying coordinator and also the school safety and climate team in their building. We're also assessed on our HIB incident reporting procedures and the investigation procedures as well. So that's the 8 criteria or 8 areas for our assessment. David, if you wouldn't mind advancing to slide 3. All right, so here are those core elements of the assessment that I was just talking about, the 8 that we score ourselves on in regards to our HIB prevention programs. You could also see for each one the point value that's assigned to them. And the total assessment is a total of 78 points. Okay, on the next slide, you'll see the breakdown for our first 3 schools, Brooks, BA, and Cambridge. Our district always scores very well. Our admin, staff, anti-bullying specialists, they're all phenomenal and really take this work seriously. All of our schools scored between 75 and 78, which again was the highest. So you could see here Brooks, Brunswick Acres, and Cambridge. This breaks down their score for each of the criteria, and then their total is all the way to the right. On the next slide, there we go. We have Constable, Greenbrook, Indian Fields, and Monmouth Junction. Give you a second just to look at those. And the next slide has our 2 middles and the high school. And you can see our district average down below. We can't have decimals for the total. So for the district, we're rounded to 76. So again, as a district, we receive 76 out of 78 points in regards to our HIB prevention work. And again, a big thank you to everyone involved. And the next slide just quickly talks about what it is. Well, what do we do with this data? It is important. We are required to post it on the district and school websites for the public to see. But most importantly, it's used in planning. Our anti-bullying specialists and administrators and school safety and climate teams look at the numbers, look at how they assess themselves, look for areas of growth where they can improve, and look for those areas of strength to celebrate and to keep working on and keep working at. And that is it. That's our 2019-2020 district and school HIB report. If anyone has any questions, I am happy to answer.
Right. To the middle. Lisa.
I'm sorry, could you put up the scores again? We saw 2 that were at 75, or 3, if I'm not mistaken. It's at 75 points. So where are we lacking with that?
You come back to the.
Yeah, everybody, can you come back to the dais? Thank you. Believe it or not, Lisa, we can't hear you.
That's unfortunate.
Sean, can you please put the screen back up with the presentation?
Yeah, I can't remember. I'll sit
It was the middles.
So the middle school, I believe it was, and the high school and one other school, if I'm not mistaken, was at 75, and also the 76, but where are we lacking in those areas? What is the cause of the drop?
I don't have the full assessments in front of me. They're very lengthy. They are those 8 criteria, but under each criteria are a great number of indicators. The ratings are does not meet expectations, partially meets expectations, meets, and then exceeds the requirements. So I will say also sometimes we're maybe harder on ourselves in our scoring, but I wouldn't be able to give you specifics in this moment, but I could pull them and get back to you with that information.
Okay. What I think would be important here is not just the indicator that caused the drop,
It's not a drop. Lisa.
Or, well, not a drop, but
It's-
I misstated. Yes, I misstated, I'm sorry. That caused that number to be at that point. But I would also like to understand is year over year, going back to year over year that we've done before, have we seen a change or a shift in any of the schools and/or the indicators?
Blair, I speak that for
Sure,
just,
Mike,
just with
Mike.
my involvement
Yeah.
with it over the years.
Yep.
So each year it's self-proclaimed, right? So we look at what we've done. So based on the events that have taken place, it can change very little, but our score at the middle and high school has always been in that range, and it has to do just about with at the elementary level. There's sometimes it seems to be a lot more school-wide type things, and just how they go about it. The scores have continually be, and we can get that for you to show you. So they're not dropping.
Right.
Each year we might grade ourselves a little different in different categories, but like Blair said, we really use it just to hone in and making sure that we are checking ourselves and looking to continue to grow. I don't know that we'll ever say that we're going to be perfect. It's just the way we are. So it might be one year that they score themselves a point lower in one area, and another year it's a different. But when you look at that 75 out of 78 points, it's excellent. That's still excellent.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it has to do with us being tough on ourselves.
Yeah.
When you compare us, and you can see really all different districts. You can go on anybody's website and see we're in a great spot. And like
Yep.
Blair said, it's that exceeding. And I think we're always like, well, we do it, and so we're not effective. We're not partial. We just might be saying, yeah, we do it. We might not be saying we're doing it like exceeding. So we're doing everything, and we do most everything extremely, I would say, right, Blair?
It's unfortunate, but I think that there's also a mindset that when you see such high scores, right? When we see the 78 and the 77s, when you see that 75, you immediately say, well, wait a minute, why not? So I think it would just be helpful for the district to understand, why not? And I know that sounds rough, why aren't we at that 100%? But our goal should always be that 100%, especially in this area. So let's just better understand. That's all I'm asking, is to better understand what it is that maybe that one little point, and maybe we can't do anything. I don't know. But I think in the spirit of transparency, it might help just for people to understand why. That's what it comes down to. Thank you.
Anybody else to the right? Anybody to the left? No more questions, Blair.
Thank you, Blair.
Thank you. Thank you again, Blair. Moving along, Mrs. Mehta, are you reading the first reading of the policies, or is David doing that?
I don't mind reading them, Mr. President.
Okay, you're going to give a synopsis. So the next part of the agenda is the first reading of some of the new policies. Mrs. Mehta, who is the chair of the policy committee, if you can just give us a very brief synopsis of the policies, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. First reading of the policies. One second. Policy 0131 about bylaws, policies and regulations. Policy 2421, career and technical education. Policy 3134, assignment of extra duties. Policy 3142, non-renewal of non-tenured teaching staff members. Policy 3221, evaluation of teachers. Policy 3222, evaluation of teaching staff members excluding teachers and administrators, vice principals and assistant principals. Policy 3223, evaluation of administrators excluding vice principals and assistant principals. Policy 3224, evaluation, did I read that? Of principals, vice principals, and assistant principals. Policy 4146, non-renewal of non-tenured support staff members. Policy 5460.02, the Bridge Year Pilot Program. Policy 6471, school district travel, and Policy 8561, the procurement procedures for school nutrition programs.
Thank you, Mrs. Mehta. Mr. Pulaski, these are pro forma changes, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Our policy committee reviewed all of these policies. They were sent out to all of the affected departments, and we took into consideration for your first read. We'll have between now and our next board meeting to review. All board members will receive the policies as provided on the portal, and once you have access to those, I encourage you to read through them, ask any questions before our next meeting when they are finalized and adopted.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Mrs. Mehta again. Moving along, we're moving to open to public comments. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment and educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of these rules that govern this portion of the meetings are available to the public at the back of the room, or you can obtain an advance copy by contacting the board office during regular business hours. We reserve the right to limit each speaker to no more than 3 minutes. It is our plan to listen to each member of the public. We will note all questions and comments made. Once all questions and comments from all members of the public are made, the Board of Education will respond, if necessary, to questions or comments in the most timely and efficient manner available. Please consider not repeating comments and questions made by other members of the public. I ask that you state your name, spell your last, place of residence, or your group affiliation. Since we have been back live, we have made a stipulation that if you're interested in making a public comment, that you do come to the meeting. We do have a mic that is social distance. And that being said, I see no one in the audience, so I will close the public portion. Moving along to board committee reports. Anybody to the right for board committee reports? Dr. Parker.
Just to say that on our consent agenda is the final 2 memorandums of agreement for all of our units. So we have all units. Once this is approved, all our units will be under contract for the next coming year.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Anybody else to the right? Any to the left? Mr. Scaletti.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to report to the board from the Facilities Committee about some of the projects that are going on this summer. Right now we have the high school high school wall repair. It's going on very well. We just finished up the Crossroads North sewer line. It came out excellent. It's already completed. We have quite a few other projects going on in the district, and everything is seems like going online right now. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Mehta.
Okay, just want to give you an update of the policy committee. We met and we reviewed the Strauss-Esme updates in the alert number 223. All policies that are included in tonight's agenda are for first reading, as Mr. Pulaski has informed us. The most notable ones are policy 5460, and that's about the Bridge Year Pilot Program, which allows a student to repeat a school year due to educational loss related to the pandemic. Also, policy number 1649, which abolishes the Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which provided extended federal family leave with pay and emergency paid sick leave for specific reasons due to COVID-19. The FFCRA has expired, and employers are no longer required to comply with the provisions of the law. Policy 3134, assignment of extra duties, was revised and reinforces the board's ability to assign extra duties to certified staff in certain situations as per NJSA 34-13A-23. Policy numbers 3221, 3222, 3223, and 3224, evaluation of staff, all address date changes as per the administrative code, which requires evaluation rubrics to be submitted to the Commissioner of Education by the 1st of August of every year for approval by the 15th of August. The administrative code previously required submission of the evaluation rubrics to the Commissioner by the 1st of June for approval by August 1st. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mehta. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, close the board comment reports. Moving along. Consent agenda, July 22nd, 2021. I get a motion, please. Moved by Mr. Keener. I have a second.
Seconded.
Second by Dr. Parker. Roll call, Mr. Pulowski, please.
Mr. Rajakrishnan.
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta.
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Yes.
Dr. Stephen Parker.
Yes.
Dr. Smita Raj.
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti. Mr. Barry Nathanson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along, board comments and communications. Anyone to my right?
Yeah, I have just a question.
Mrs. Rogers, go ahead.
Of the policy for the bridge program. Scott, or Mr. Fetter, do we have an idea yet as to, or will we have an idea as to how many kids will be extended out an extra year?
For the bridge is the athletics.
I'm sorry, I misspoke? No, I thought the bridge was.
21-year-olds for special needs?
Yeah,
Yeah, so right now we are still working, there's no deadline
Right.
on that. As of right now, we know we have 3.
oh, okay,
We could have up to 5.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else with any
Let me just add.
Oh, okay, go.
Staffing accordingly is being addressed. Any staffing needs associated is being addressed. So we're not going to get caught off guard.
Right, okay.
3 or 5 will be staffed accordingly.
Will we see, and maybe this is too early to tell, please state if it is, but are we looking at increasing staff there, or do you think we'll be able to be?
What I'm saying is, whatever staffing needs that are associated with the fact that we haven't have 22-year-olds staying
Yeah.
is addressed.
Okay.
Whether it's 3 or 5.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else to the right? Anybody to the left? I just have a couple comments. I want to make the public aware that our next board meeting is in a month in August because of the summer schedule. We only do one meeting in August. I also want to tonight acknowledge I know Mr. Fetter mentioned his name. Sean Ryman is here subbing. Sean Ryman used to be part of VTN with Tim Sweeney, and he moved on to being the assistant principal of the school, Crossroads North. Sean was in the booth for many years, and he reminded me the last time he was there was about 5 years ago. So, Sean, welcome back, even though it's only for this evening. That being said, I want to ask for a motion to adjourn. Dr. Parker, second by Mr. Keener. Anyone, excuse me, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Good night, South Brunswick. Please stay safe. Thank you.